You're listening to the WB Download, coming to you from Wieland Builders showroom in Studio 1C. We are a podcast centered around building custom homes, the customer experience of building a custom home, and a really entertaining listen from many great guests and interviews that may or may not have anything to do with building. I'm excited to share with you their voice and their stories that will enhance your idea of the custom builder world. All right, here we are again, everybody. Thank you for listening to the WB Download. We are here on the second Tuesday of April. It's April the 11th, and we had a lot of stuff going on in the last couple of weeks. We were sitting here a couple of days right after Easter. Easter is always a great time for our families. The sermon at church is kind of wrapping up and coming to what Easter means to all of us, which is something good for the kids and something good for the adults to remind us. And it's a good day to get everybody together. If your family's like mine, we don't always necessarily get together, get along, and get all those things, and it makes a good day for us to be able to hang out and enjoy each other. So we had really good weather, and the weather's broke here a little bit. I hate to even say that here in Ohio because who knows, it's probably going to freeze tonight and probably pour down rain tomorrow, but we're hoping for a good week. Hey, this last week and a half ago, we had our opening day parade, so I gave you a little bit of snippet about it there a couple weeks ago. Our float theme was Pitch Perfect, and this was extended from the movie Pitch Perfect, where there was a movie about how they were in the choir, they went to school and they sang these songs. And our theme is always trying to head towards something with building and baseball and Findlay Market and the Cincinnati Reds. So we built a house on the front of the float. A framed house, and then we built a crane that came up, and we had a couple of trusses that we had set, and then the truss that was hanging off from the crane was one of our speed squares. So it's a square that we use to build the house. It sets the pitch of the roof, has a bunch of different numbers on it, and so we were setting the pitch of the roof, and then at the mound, or we built the base of our float into a baseball field. We had AstroTurf on it, and at the pitcher's mound, we had an organ that we were planning on playing, but then when they put us in the lineup at the parade, they told us that we were going to be behind the Oak Hills Band, so we had music in front of us, so we decided not to include the electric and everything on the float. And now we wish we would have, because they switched us and put Chick-fil-A in front of us, and we didn't get a chance to play the music. So I think it would have been a lot cooler. It was cool, but it would have been a lot cooler if we would have played music, So I was really proud of it, and to see our team come together and put this thing together. Our team, the majority of the people on this team, besides Robin, this was their first time ever being involved in the parade, so they didn't really know what it consists of. And I think that they had thoughts of ideas of being at homecoming when they were in high school, and it was going to be on a hay wagon. It was going to be very low key, and maybe we were going to laugh and giggle while we were building it. And it was not that. It was a very serious deal. Some of the other people who build the floats in the parade, I think I've told you this before, but are the professional float builders up out of Akron, Ohio, who build floats in the Rose Bowl parade. And here we are, a couple of simple rednecks that build this float out of scrap material here in our shop barn in Lebanon, Ohio. And we drag it down there and we put it together, and it looks awesome. So really proud of our team. This is a big deal for us. And you can go to probably see some pictures of the float on the Findlay Market Cincinnati Reds opening day parade. If you Google that, then the parade will pop up. I'm sure that the wonderful Leanne here at Wieland Builders will put them on Facebook and put them on our website and put them on YouTube. And so you can see all these things. I hope you check it out, because it's something that's not building houses. It's something that's pretty cool. We're waiting to find out on the awards. We can't remember if it's a month or if it's a couple months or a couple weeks, or if they've told everybody else and they haven't told me, and they're just keeping me in suspense and they think that's funny. Maybe that's what it is. Like I said here, so there's 150,000 people that are down there. There's millions of people who watch it on TV. And it's just an amazing sight to pull down through these roads and see all these kids and all these people. And it's tradition. And it reminds me of Homerama, where the majority of the people come to that show. They come to the parade, and they're there because it's tradition. The majority of the people that are probably there are grandparents with grandkids, and just carrying on that tradition, which is obviously how I've gotten involved in both of those things. And they're both a pain in my ass a lot of times, but it's a tradition. Yeah. Yeah, Leanne said that. So one of the things that we noticed about I'm not going to mention it, being downtown, is that everybody smokes pot down there. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, it was from early in the morning, because we had to get down there early in the morning and do what you want. I don't really care. But man, when there's that many people down here, I think it's going to deter some of them grandparents bringing their grandkids down there, because you're proud of whatever you're doing at 7:00 in the morning. I mean, and I have nothing against you guys. You want to be weed burners, but I mean, good Lord, give us a break when we're down there working. It's a little bit crazy. That's just, I don't see guys standing on the corner at 7:30 in the morning. Well, maybe they got it in a brown bag, but I don't see them sitting there drinking beer all morning long while we're working on that float. So that was a little bit different than I don't remember that in the past. So like I said, the weather's broke here in Ohio, and we're hoping that this week is going to be the first week where we are just trucking on. We're ready to get a lot of things done that we've been waiting to get done over the winter time. We're moving things along. It's Monday morning, and by 10 o'clock, I've already gotten 5 phone calls from my homeowners going, "What's going on out there today? What's going on out there today?" Because the sun is shining, and it's still cold at night, but the sun is shining. So we're ready to move on and get some things done here. Down on the farm here, I think I can't remember if we had a calf born since the last time we talked, and March 28th, I think that calf was born. So something that's interesting about that is when we have one we know when they're going to be born, and when we have one that's kind of dragging on like that, we're in the calf checks, making sure it's going to be okay. So you got to go out every 3 hours, and it puts a little drag on things because you get a little bit tired. But brings me back to the days when I was in school, and I worked on a farm at school, and I worked on a farm in Columbus at the same time on the weekends. Which was my job. And so if I had calf checks during the week and I had calf checks on the weekend, and we had a party on a Wednesday night, there's some days I wouldn't go for 48 hours without sleeping, especially if we had a calf that had some trouble or something like that in the middle of the night. There were some days when I was on a calf check that I probably shouldn't have been on a calf check, where I had to get an Uber, which they didn't make that back then, which meant my roommate was going to take me out there because I was drunk and I couldn't get out there to check the cows. But that's not the case now, because I'm a little bit more mature and older now. So we had a calf born back there on March 28th, and this weekend we attended online the Branchview Angus sale down in Kentucky and bought 3 more cows that are going to have babies here in the fall. And so we got quite a bit of stuff going on there at the farm. We're getting ready to plant. So, Clint Purcell and his dad, Dan, are the people who farm our property on the crop side of it. And they, I think that they're getting ready to plant. I don't know how much, and if Clint's listened to this, he'll be able to answer this, and he'll probably be upset that I mentioned him online, but they probably follow the sign in the almanac as to when they're going to plant and when they're not going to plant. So we'll find out soon, because I've got to have a meeting with him. We're going to talk about it. So that's a lot of interesting things. Farming, baseball, weather, building houses. It all revolves around the weather. When the weather's good, I'm happy. Customers are happy because we're all out there working. So that's what's happening here on Tuesday, April 11th, 2023. And right now I'm going to introduce wait, hold on. We have some questions from last week. Is that right? Where are those questions at, Leanne? All right. We had a question. Believe it or not, we had some questions. Somebody emailed us. I can't even read this. This looks like I wrote this. Where do we build at? Everybody always asks, where do we build this? And I always say all Southwest Ohio. And when I mean Southwest Ohio, I mean, we finished a house in Cedarville, Ohio, which is about an hour and a half away from here. A couple years ago, we have a house out in Anderson that we're wrapping up right now. We have ones down on the east end on the river. We just finished a concrete plant over in Miamitown. We just finished one in Oxford. So you talk about all Southwest Ohio, that covers all Southwest Ohio. It's Dayton, Anderson, Cincinnati, over to Cleves, Oxford area. We get a lot of stuff going on, so that's where we go. Another question was, do I need an architect? Do I need a designer? Well, I can tell you right now that my next guest here that we have here today is going to answer, yes, you need a designer. Good Lord, what are we thinking? I think you need an architect. Some builders, you don't need an architect. If you're going down that more the production route, where they have a draftsman on staff and they already have set plans, you don't necessarily need an architect. They're going to take care of all that stuff for you. If you're going to a custom builder and you need plans, and they may have, like we do, we have architects that are not on our staff, but we use them as part of our team, as part of our family, and you don't necessarily need an architect. Other times you do. They're going to require you to go get your own plans drawn, bring those plans back to them, and then they're going to roll with it from there. So it just depends on the builder. Like I said in the past, I wouldn't suggest buying the plans online and just trying to bring those back and have somebody build them. Because you can buy the rights to those plans, but don't buy the actual plans themselves, because you have to alter them to the municipality code that you're going to be building in. Anyway, so couple questions, man. That was pretty exciting. I feel big time. So if you want to be a part of the conversation, I always say this every month, every twice a month anyway. Send your questions, topics, whatever you want to be. If you want to be a guest on the show, to wbdownload@wielandbuilders.com. It's wbdownload@wielandbuilders.com. So, hey, I'm going to introduce my next guest here for this week, and she's part of our team, part of our family here at Wieland Builders, and kicks it in gear for us on the interior. We call her, this is a question I have for her, because we call them interior designers, but she is a designer because she does more than just the interior. Her name's Kelly Wynne from Interiors 821, and I've known her for quite some time. I've known her mom for a lot longer than that, and so we're pretty excited about having her on, and I am going to bring her in right now. Hey, Kelly, how you doing?
Hey, good. How are you today, Jeff?
Good, man. We're good. Thanks for being here. I'm really excited about this today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad to be working with you. I mean, I was telling we had a lunch brought in to us today from ABC Supply, which are one of our roofing supply companies, and we were talking about at lunch with the team. I said, Kelly is don't really have this huge high level of excitement, and I've never seen you mad, and I've never heard you talk bad about anybody. You are even keel happy. And is that a good way to describe it?
I try to be.
Okay.
Yeah, I try to be,
I don't think you try. I think it just naturally comes out, and you don't have to try. You're just cool all the time. And because I've worked with you at Home Rama, which is in 21, which was our first time we worked together.
Yes.
And I remember thinking, this is the time where, there's tempers get a little bit hot there coming down to the end. Mostly mine gets a little bit hot coming out of the end, and it gets a little bit stressful. And I thought, well, we're going to see if you're going to flip your lid or not. And no way, man.
No.
You guys are cool, calm, and collective.
Yeah, usually I'm pretty down to earth.
Yeah.
And, I don't go crazy until I leave. Then I pick up the phone and call my mom.
That's the way to do it. Never let them see you sweat. So hey, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, where you come from, what in the world got you involved in this business? So
actually, I started working with my mom, Jenny Lynn Wynne from Jenny Lynn Wynne Designs in 2005. She's since retired, so I opened up my own company called Interiors 821, and it's been great. I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So what's the 8? I remember I was talking to my wife one day, and I'm like, there's no way she was born in 1998. I mean, trying to figure out the 821. What is this? But you have a reason. What's the 821?
It's actually my birthday.
Okay.
And I just wanted a name for the company that was very simple and to the point, which was Interiors. But I needed something with it, and I couldn't think of anything. And I was like, just put an 821 after it. But
nice.
I thought no one would ever ask, and everyone does.
Everyone does.
Yeah.
It rings though. 821. It sounds good.
Yeah.
Where'd you grow up at?
I grew up in Indian Hill. So
Yeah.
I went to Indian Hill for high school.
Yeah.
And then I went to Mount St. Joe for college, which
Okay.
is actually where my mom went as well for interior
Nice.
design. So I kind of followed in her footsteps.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
that's good.
A lot of fun.
So, and you went to interior design as a 4-year school program there, or is it 2-year school at Mount St. Joe?
They offer both.
Okay.
Yeah, they offer both
All
there.
right.
So I did the 2-year program, and I
Yeah.
have an associate's degree in
I did
interior
too.
design.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I felt like I knew what I was going to do, and I think you were the same way. And I have 2 associate's degrees in farming and building houses, which means I'm not really sure what I was thinking, but I think that's a good way to go, because you know what you're going to do, and you're not sitting there, letting them milk you for the money and
Exactly.
and get that out of there.
And I was working during college, so I was learning so much in the field, and that's really hands-on experience is great for everybody.
I feel the same way. About what I was doing too. What does a day in life look like of an interior? What do you prefer to be called? I mean, for years we called it interior designers, but you're not an interior designer. You are a designer. I mean, you're designing. And when we say design, for me, what it means to me is you're doing, along with Robin here in our office, of course, everybody knows that, but for you on a daily basis, flooring, paint colors, but you're also doing brick, shingles. You're tying in everything in the whole house, furniture and drapes and wallpaper, and you're tying everything into the whole house. But
Yes.
what do you prefer to be called?
So it's still interior designer, even though I do exterior work as well.
Yeah.
So usually I'll do exterior work with the builders. Some people call me out for paint colors, things like that on the exterior. Mainly I focus on the interior of the home, but the exterior kind of comes along with it as well.
Yeah. What qualifies a person to be a designer? You know what I mean? Because I feel like and you'll hear me say this all the time. I refer to a lot of things in the cattle business, but there's people in the cattle business. You can see a good one. And there's people that've been in the business forever that couldn't pick one out of a good. They couldn't pick a bad one out of a good one. And couldn't pick a good one out of a bunch of bad ones. And the same thing with builders. You know, I can drive down the road. Everybody can drive down the road, and you can see houses that just you're like, what in the hell went on there?
Yeah.
And then you can see other ones that are just like, man, that's the way you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way about designers. And you have an edge to you. You have this ability to pull things together. You have an eye for it, and you know how to really make it work. What qualifies you to be able to do that?
So you really have to start with a vision for every house, and every house is so different. All the materials are different, especially with the exterior. You know, you really have to have a vision and kind of think about those. And then samples are great to have as you work through things. So I always carry paint samples with me, stain samples. When we're looking at stone, I pull them out and put it with it so everybody can see them there. And, you know, looking at the blueprints, it's easier for me to read a blueprint, and sometimes I have to realize that the clients sometimes don't know how to.
Right.
So when I look at it, I see that there's stone, I see that there's hardy siding or whatever materials are there, and sometimes they can't envision that.
Right.
So you have to talk to them about that and work through it.
Yeah.
And it's a great process.
It's fun. I think that when people are dealing with me, we've been dealing with me for a little while, and then when you come in and Robin comes in, you guys are the party. You know what I mean? You guys are, this is the fun stuff.
Exactly.
And even when I'm explaining things to them in the plans and explaining things to them in a contract, the things I get excited about, foundations and steel and structure and making sure that thing's going to stay on the hillside or whatever we're doing, they don't care about. They're just like, Jeff, you're going to build it. You know, we trust that you're going to do a decent job doing this. Here's what we want to know. Where's Kelly and Robin at? You know, what are we going to do? Let's pick out the paint colors. Let's pick out, and that's the fun stuff, you know, and that's what they get excited about. And I think that people have to understand that. How do you know that you and a customer are a good fit when you're talking about this vision? How do you know you and the customer are a good fit?
So usually I listen to their ideas that they have. Most people have some ideas for the house. If they don't, I try and talk about their likes and dislikes and gain more knowledge about what colors they may like, ideas that, you know, they may or may not have, and then kind of pull from that. So a good fit, you kind of just work with the people and learn more about them. So you just learn that you're a good fit with talking with people and knowing more about them. And that's kind of how it all works out.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it is a lot of times people are, I always think about this thing. Are we the originators of the ideas? You know, and we'll do something. People say, oh man, you built this, you built that. And I'm like, yeah, well, I didn't build it. Wieland Builders built it because we have a team of people. We have a team with the customers that are working with us. But how many ideas do you think that you throw out there that are just, man, this is just going to be groundbreaking. We're going to put it on Instagram and we're going to put it everywhere we can. And people are just going to run with this deal and it's going to be the greatest. Or are we most of the time bouncing off of, as an industry, whether we want to admit it or not, are we bouncing off of other ideas that people have?
I think it's a combination of both. I try to come up with new ideas every day for almost every project. Sometimes you do have to incorporate some of the same items, same materials at times. But in general, I try to come up with new concepts so that everything isn't exactly the same.
Yeah.
A lot of pictures you find online, go through, you find great inspiration, but I do try to tweak them as well so that you're not just copying that design.
Yeah.
But usually clients will have photos as well. Not everyone does, and that's okay if you don't. But when they do, I'll look at it and I'll think, how can we apply this in your house? Because the size of it may not be the same in the picture, or the ceiling height might be different, or colors need to be tweaked. So different things like that.
I think that's probably when I talk about that edge that you would have as a designer, is to be able to roll with it. So when you're putting something together, you may come up with it and it might not be groundbreaking, but it's new, or it's something that's pretty cool that maybe you didn't think about. Man, this looks really cool together. Let's try this. And it becomes bold. It becomes a bold decision that you're going to make, and you can make it with those customers. And sometimes I think also then one of my other questions is going to be, how many times do you have to push the people to say, this is going to be okay?
Well, I was going to say, sometimes you do have to step outside the box and take a risk. Otherwise, you would just be doing the same thing day in and day out, and that wouldn't be any fun. It wouldn't be interesting. And then people would, see it online and be like, well, they do the same thing every single time.
Right.
So I think stepping outside the box, some clients are very willing to step outside the box, take a risk, or, change things around to make it different. Others, kind of try to stay inside that box, and you have to feel out the client, know where they want to be and how they want to approach it. Right.
And I don't know if you were there involved in that in the beginning in 21, but when we painted that house, we painted it it's almost a black color, which is iron ore is the color we painted it. It's beautiful. And it's unbelievably cool.
Yeah.
But I remember talking to Jeff and Dorothy, and I was like, look, I thought this was going to be cool if we did this color.
Yeah.
And they're like, I think it's cool too. And I'll bet you there was probably 3 or 4 times where I said to Dorothy, I said, hey, Don't back up now, because she's like, well, I was thinking about painting it white. And I'm like, no. We had it. Don't back up now. Let's basically have the balls to step forward and do it.
Well, and the thing about it was, it stood out in the show because all the other houses in the show were white,
right,
and that one was dark. So It was, beautiful on its own, and really stood out and drawed attention to it.
And we've done it a number of different times on other houses after people saw it. Mm-hmm. And I love it. I mean, I think it's great now. It's like anything that's dark like that, any paint colors that are deep like that, everything you do, you can't even look at it without getting a fingerprint on it, and having dust fly onto it. So it took a lot of painting, repainting, and cleaning to keep that thing beautiful. But even today, you see it; it's just amazing. It's really cool color. But that was something that I think about when you're introducing something. You have to really get to know that customer, and you have to be able to understand their vision, and then you have to kind of bring it together and make sure that it's going to flow.
Exactly.
Pretty.
Yeah. And as I've mentioned before, I know we've talked, about these things prior, but having a vision, I always create a vision for the house in my own mind. Now, whether that is my vision at the end result, because I do work with clients, so I want it to be their vision for the home. Ultimately, they're the ones living in it. Once they build the house and I'm out of the picture, they live there.
Yeah.
I want it to be what they want. So sometimes they have a vision, sometimes they don't. But ultimately, I think we try and pull those visions together and make it an interesting, beautiful home.
Right. And I think that we're not trying to be groundbreaking and do something, force these customers to do something that would just be out of line, and where we're looking at it saying, hey, let's do this. And it's completely funky, and nobody, and there's like 5 people in this entire world that are going to love it. And that would make it tough. But that kind of goes along with Wieland Builders. When you see our houses, I think in a show house, or when you see our houses that we're building, they're livable, they're understandable, people can relate to them, and they're still just out of this world. I mean, when you think about the design, I feel like you fit that category.
Well, and you build great houses, and you're a custom builder, so that's really where you have the ability to do these new concepts and everything with the custom aspect. If it was a production builder, you wouldn't be able to do some of those things that we can come up with, and the ideas and beams that you do and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we think about our customers, are you going to their house? What are you doing to find that relationship and how you're going to create that vision, how they're going to create that vision? What's your path to get there? I mean, are you meeting with them and then finding out if your personalities match up? Are you going to their house to see what their existing furniture looks like, how they live currently? What's your step? What's your process?
So first, I like to sit down with the client, get to know them, talk to them, look at the blueprints, go over the blueprints room by room, talk about their ideas and visions for those spaces if they have any, talk about any I may have right off the bat. And as we get to know each other, then we come up with more ideas as we start moving forward. I don't typically like to just schedule an appointment to start selections without meeting the client first. I don't know anything about them, so I don't know if you want a blue roof or a green roof or anything like that. So it's good to sit down and get to know the person first.
Yeah. I think that I remember when I was president of the Home Builders Association and we were trying to hire a marketing company, and we felt like once we hired them that we were just going to like flip the switch and they were going to go watch what we do. Mm-hmm. So it just doesn't happen like that. And I want to make sure that we are doing a good enough job explaining that to our customers in the beginning. Hey, this is a partnership. This is a team effort between them and us and you and everybody that works here and works with us at Wieland Builders. You can't just say, here, go build my house, and then you're automatically going to love it. We need everybody's participation. And I feel like that sometimes happens to you where it's like, nobody move. Kelly's going to take care of it, and she just, here, she's going to do this. And
well, I can. If they're too busy, I have before gone and picked it out, and that's fine. There are clients that say, I'm too busy for this. I just want you to do it. Now you do have to gather information from them ahead of time and know their likes and dislikes.
Yeah.
And then still present the samples to them and show them everything so that they know what they're getting, and the house just doesn't get built and show up when they walk in. You know?
I'd love that, man. That'd be fun if somebody just said, here's a check. Here's $5 million. Spend it however you want and build this house over here on this land that we agreed on, and call me when it's done.
That'd be great.
I don't know how I think about that sometimes, but I'm not sure how great it would be. I mean, if it was really I'd be almost a blank checkbook at that point, and I would go out and do it. Yeah. But I don't know, man. I think that would be risky. I think that would be tough.
We do that with a lot of market homes, though.
Yeah.
And even sometimes with home shows, you have to have a vision for that. And sometimes even with the home show, a lot of that stuff comes out and the client's stuff gets moved in.
Yeah.
So what you see may not be exactly what stays in that house forever.
You're right. That's a good point to make. So you grew up in the furniture business, right? I mean, for the most part. Yes. And so how do you source your furniture now? Is furniture, is there shows that you go to that keep you up on the current trends? Are you sitting there thumbing through magazines at night and looking at the current trends? How do you keep up with the trends in the furniture and knowing what's available out there?
Both. So I actually attend High Point, North Carolina Furniture Market every year. It's great because you get to see all the new stuff, all the stuff that they're not showing anymore, new fabrics, new colors, the latest trends. They show everything there. It's huge. You have to go for a month if you could to see everything. Yeah. But we make a list, focus on what we can. So I have lines I carry through my own company. I can order through those. I also can order through the Design Center downtown. And then I work locally with a lot of stores as well. I like to work with Watson's for a lot of furniture. They have a great showroom over in Sharonville. And then the Rug Gallery is awesome. Their rugs are beautiful. And you can touch and feel them, see them. So I really like working with everybody.
Yeah. That's amazing how far, I'm not giving a shameless plug here, but how far Watson's has come. Oh, yeah. And when I think about when I was a kid, they were like above ground pools.
Yes.
And I remember the commercials they had of people floating in the above ground pools, and that was it. And now they have, they're a main source.
Absolutely. Yeah. They expanded their showroom. And a lot of times as I'm talking to people, they're like, well, I thought they only had outdoor furniture, and they don't. They carry so many furniture lines, accessory lines, and their showroom is gorgeous. It's
the fun place to go because, when you want to have fun, if you're looking for something fun, that's where they've got it. Hot tubs, pools, and games.
Exactly.
And just bowling alleys and pinball machines and everything that you want over there, pool tables and outdoor grills. It's, I hope that they're listening to this. They're going to pay me for this gig, man. But it just made me think about that because every time we think about Watson's, that's what I was always thinking about before. So, what do you find is the most challenging in your process, challenging in your job?
Most challenging for me is probably when couples are not on the same page with each other and they have two different design styles. Yeah. So one may be very contemporary and the other might be very traditional, and trying to mesh those together or trying to figure out which one is going to give a little bit to make the design work. Now, sometimes you can make it a little eclectic and stick a piece in here that works for both of them, but that's probably one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the same for us too. And that becomes more of a challenge of communication. Exactly. And making sure that they're on the same page and then figuring out who who the leader is out of the two and who you're supposed to communicate with and who makes the final decision. Yes. And you don't want to be biased in that by any means, but we always say, hey, if somebody says, especially in the first couple meetings we have with them, hey, can I just come by myself? No, you got to have everybody at the table. Yes. We want to make sure everybody's present. Yeah. We want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. And if there's anything we need to know, do you have an uncle who's a builder in Pennsylvania? Because I need to know that. I don't want you to be on the phone with them every week. And then you're calling me and then and just tell him to call me if he's got any questions, because that would eliminate some of that stuff. And I think it's the same way with you, but I also run into the people who, plays pool on a Tuesday night with a guy whose brother-in-law is a heating and air conditioning guy and he doesn't even own the company, he just works there. Mm-hmm. And he said to do this. And I'm like, really? Is that really where did you lose the faith in us? So I think you probably run into that a lot too. I mean, people think that they're their own designers. Yes. And HGTV, I don't mean to diss them at all, anything like that. But the TV shows, they're great, but they're not realistic all the time. Your kitchen remodel will not take 3 days. There is probably 6 months worth of planning before they even demo that kitchen. Yeah. And it might look like it happens in 3 days, but it doesn't. I always get a kick out of those shows. Now, I don't watch them a whole lot, but I probably have checked them out every once in a while because people talk about them all the time. And they always come to them and they say, well, our budget's $3.6 million. And they're like, well, what do you do for a living? And she's like, he's a worm farmer and she's a glass blower. I'm like, where the hell did you get this money at? It doesn't make any sense how they do that. But how do you... I jump around so much, but when you're thinking about your customers, because that's what we do. I mean, you're not necessarily, unless you're doing a market home for a builder, but you're doing the same thing we are. You're working specifically with customers, and that's your forte. Yes. As you want to work with them, and how do you take their opinions? I mean, because not everybody's got great taste, and maybe they think they do, and just like you said, I've had Homerama houses where we took the furniture out, we took the appliances out, and we put their appliances in when we came back in because it was not my taste. And so how do you get along with something like that? So I welcome opinions from clients. Feedback is great, and I always say, if you like something, let me know. If you don't like something, please let me know. It won't hurt my feelings. I have to present things to you. And if I don't present them, I won't know if you like them or not. Right. So if you tell me you don't, then that takes it off the table. Yeah. I don't have to think about it. We move on to the next selection. So just be honest, open. If you have questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer them. Yeah. And if I don't know the answer, I'll try and figure it out. Right. But that's the best way to go about it. I agree. And I think that, again, that's that communication style. And that comes in the beginning. How comfortable do you guys feel with each other? How comfortable? And when I talk about communication with our customers, it's not just about the voice to voice or the emails or the text. It's about feeling comfortable enough to come and talk to me about an issue that you may have, or the same thing with me. I want to go and call them up. And I have so many times where the guys say, well, I don't want to look like an idiot in front of the client. I'm like, well, you're going to look like an idiot if you do it wrong. So you might as well have the courage to call them, or the relationship at least to call them, right, talk through it, and make sure that we're doing it right now as opposed to trying to fix it later on. That's always tough. And that's a good point. It's better to know at that moment than to move forward with it and then have to redo it or replace it or deal with it after the fact. And that's tough too, because we sell it, as far as what we do is we're making it yours, which means that if you want to change it, then we're probably going to change it, and I hate doing things over. You have to understand that there's a cost to that change. You have to understand that it's not as simple as just, we're going to do it. And whenever somebody puts just in front about something we're getting ready to do, it's a heck of a lot more than what you thought it was going to do. Cause they're like, oh, it's just this. Well, it's just that. No, it's a lot more than that. Okay. So we are in a business of change. And we'll change whatever you want, but you have to understand the ramifications of it and the costs and everything that comes along with it. So how do you communicate with your customers? I mean, are you, and is this, I guess it's probably on a customer to customer basis, but what kind of updates do you give people, and how are you checking in with them? Or so meetings are key, because you always have to have meetings to pick out those selections, look at those samples in person. Email is a huge factor these days. You have to communicate with people through email, because not everything can be done in person either. Texting has come into play as well.
I try to give updates when I can, depending on what the item is. Some vendors give us updates on when items are coming in, some don't. But usually by the time the build is going on and moving along, most of these items are kind of flowing through the process because we set up a plan in the beginning where we know what items are going to take a little bit longer. Like right now, some appliances are still taking about a year to come in. So that's one of the major things that we try to check off the list first.
Yeah.
Then you would move on to things like cabinetry, where you have a little bit more planning and thought process of where it's going to go, how it's going to work in the house. And again, those have to be ordered or built depending if it's full custom or what kind of line it is.
That's an issue. And that was an issue we ran into a lot with furniture in those Homerama houses and coming out of COVID. And, you need it.
Yeah.
And if you don't have it and it's going through the theme of the house and you can't just put IKEA in there, you know what I mean? You gotta figure it out. So if everybody needs to understand that. Again, that's that communication factor up front, telling people, listen, this is a chance where this thing might not be in for a year. This window might not be in for a year. This appliance might, and it's going to hold us up.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that.
Yeah. And I try and be upfront with clients and let them know of those lead times, or if there's something that's not going to be in. Sometimes people haven't had, let's say, double ovens at the time they close on the house lately. Just let them know.
Yeah.
Some places might give you a loaner until it comes in. There's certain things you do have to have. Some counties require the dishwasher to be installed, but there's some things where you can move in and not have it.
Yeah, dishwasher, hood, and we are the contractors. We're not making the appliances. We're ordering them. We're ordering them through another distributor who's ordering them through something with somebody, and it makes it tough. So. A lot of times things that happen that the customer doesn't see is because we're floating it on the backside, is that on appliances especially, they'll change the price of that thing 3 or 4 times, even though you've already paid for it.
Yeah.
Even if we've already ordered it and we've already put a deposit down, the appliance, and it's not even the distributor, it's the appliance company itself saying this price went up, this price went up. And people just don't understand it. They have a fit. It's an argument. And I think that's what we try and do is by being upfront and communicating, is you're avoiding an argument to happen later on.
Exactly.
And I think that's really, really important. And when these things get out of our control, they're like, well, they should have been in your control. And I'm like,
yeah. Sometimes there's just stuff you can't control in the world. And you have to just, do the best you can, think about it. And if there's a replacement, put a replacement in. If not, move along with it.
I'm always like, thanks for having that faith in me that I'm God.
Yeah.
That I can control all of these things. That's a miracle. Thank you. I didn't think you thought that highly of me. So how do you, when you talk about the trends, what's Sherwin-Williams, and I don't know if it's every paint supplier, but isn't there a color of the year, and where does that come from?
Oh yeah. So Sherwin-Williams always has their color of the year.
Yeah.
Evergreen Fog is very popular right now. It's a beautiful color. It's actually one of my favorites.
Is it green?
Yes.
Is it really?
Yeah. So I've painted a couple kitchens in it, actually. I have one I did a remodel on, and we painted the cabinets in it. And then I have a new build right now going on where they're doing the kitchen in it as well. Wow. So I'm excited to see that one.
Wasn't it like a whitish color last year, wasn't it? Or something light, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it changes, and sometimes they'll pop in different colors. Sometimes it's orange, blue, it just depends. But it's that pop of color that really grabs people's attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to be in the room when Sherwin-Williams comes up with the names of their paint colors.
It's like crayons.
It's crazy. Yeah. I don't know. I think they get drunk and then they're like, yeah, put that down, write that down. We'll make that a color.
Yeah. Some of them I can't even pronounce. I'm like, well, I don't know what that one is, but the color's pretty.
What are some current trends that you see now? And we talked about the color of the year does Porter, or I don't think it's Porter anymore, whatever they are now, but does everybody do that, or does Sherwin-Williams pick it and then everybody runs with it?
No, generally I think they pick their own colors of the year. Pantone has their own color of the year as well. I generally use Sherwin-Williams more than any other paint.
Yeah.
So I'm more familiar with their colors and how their colors work, what tones and undertones are in those.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think most of them, they all have a color match somehow or another. If you bring me a Benjamin Moore, then we can color match it and cross-reference it and get down to it, where they used to be very difficult. I mean, none of the computer systems had all that stuff in there. So if you're looking at a Benjamin Moore, you're looking at what is Porter called now? I can't remember what it's
PPG.
PPG, that's what it is. And sorry, Porter guys, I just forgot that.
It's Porter Paints Group.
Yeah, it's Porter Paints. But and then Sherwin-Williams, we've used Sherwin-Williams for 15 years now or more, and they do a great job. But they can always cross-reference things and get into it.
I've even had clients who have had like a baseball card or something and they want the exact color from it. So they take that and you can color match it at the store.
Yeah. They'll scan it.
Yeah. They put it under their laser.
When we build the float, we tell them we want the Cincinnati Reds red and they have it in their system.
Yeah. That's from
they give it to us.
Pantone.
Yeah.
I used that once in a Homerama house. It was up in Carriage Hill and we did a Reds room. It was actually a really cool room, but we needed the exact red because they had some stadium seats that we used.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So when you think about countertops, appliances, backsplashes, owner suite trends, barn doors, are they in, are they out? You know, people always ask me, what are the new trends? Like, what's happening in these houses? What are you guys doing in these houses? And I always struggle to figure that out because I'm not sure if it's a trend. You know, I mean, it's just things we've been doing. And I mean, if you always go back to say, well, we're not putting living room and dining rooms in the house anymore. We haven't done that since the 80s, you know, or the 90s, I guess it was. But tub, no tub, I think is probably a big thing for us. But I think that, and I don't know if you'll agree with this, but one of the things we're doing most is keeping the entertainment area on the first floor.
Yes.
And creating that inside out, outside in area with the back porch, kitchen, and great room. Do you see that a lot?
Yes, I think that's wonderful because you're not hidden away in the basement. The basement anymore is a lower level usually. It's not really a basement.
Right.
But, you know, you're with everybody in those main spaces. You have everybody in that open concept. And open concept is still really out there. Sometimes we're doing a secondary kitchen or full working kitchen behind the main kitchen.
Yeah.
Just to kind of give you that clutter space and ability to close the door behind there or go back there and cook. Or if you even have people come in and cater a lot, or, you know, entertain a lot, they can cook back there and keep that main kitchen a little bit cleaner.
I would agree. And I think that those are, especially in Homerama, we always talk about take these ideas home with you and scale them to your size and what you want to do. And I believe that a pantry and that kitchen working area island and setting that area off, you can take those ideas and put them into any type of house to make them feel special. And I think that's a big trend that we see right now are huge pantries.
Yes.
People want, and they're working pantries. So they're not just, you know, opening a door and storing stuff in there.
Yeah.
Putting small appliances in there. We're putting sinks in there. We're putting dishwasher, microwaves in those pantries, and people can use those in that nature.
Yeah. And one big question I get is the barn doors, if those are still in trend or not. And they are. Sometimes we're taking kind of that rustic feel away from them and matching them to the interior doors.
Yeah.
But they're great space savers when you don't have the room for a door to swing open and close. So it's almost like a pocket door, but it's on the outside of the wall. So it adds a little decoration as well to some areas. I
agree. I think they're cool. There's a lot more into them than what you think there are.
Yeah.
A lot of times people, you know, when we say, hey, they want us to build them a barn door and they get the price and they're like, well, we don't want you to build it. We're going to buy it online. Mm-hmm. The worst 3 words people can hear from a builder can hear. We're going to buy it online. So when they do that and then we get them in here, they're twisted and we're trying to straighten them up. You know, they're rubbing up against the wall. We're trying to bend them back, you know, and do a number of different things to them. On a barn door, you need twice as much space. Like a pocket door, you need that wall space to get them in there. But like you said, they don't have to be barn. When you say barn, everybody's like, oh, it's rustic. And it's
they expect it to be naughty and rustic looking and stained. And they don't have to be. They can be the same as your interior doors. You can paint them an accent color. You can do a different style door to make them pop. They don't have to be that barn door that everybody thinks that it's
like a cabinet, and I think the hardware on it can be as fancy and cool as what the actual door itself is. When you put an interior door on there, and you could do some kind of cool hardware on it, and that's what makes it pop. You know, I mean, if you put a cabinet together with just a little small knob on it, no big deal. But if you put like a brushed brass knob on it or brushed gold knob on it, and it changes everything throughout the kitchen. And I think that's the way those doors are.
Yeah, exactly.
So the other thing we do, we open these plans up, whether it's a 2-story or a ranch. Most of the houses we build are ranches, and we're opening these houses up so much that we're creating a convertible dining room where the dining room is right there in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. And there's a house that we've built a couple different times, something similar to it. And we've had parties in there, especially during showtime, or we've been back to the customer's house for a party, and there'll be 50, 60 people in that kitchen. and there's still room to move.
Yeah.
And it's so nice. And especially in the summertime, you can move in and out. I think, like you said, the basement's just a lower level. It's no different than a second floor anymore. And there's bedrooms. There's a recreational area down there, like a loft on the second floor. And people I think they're focused on that first floor.
Well, and what's nice, especially about that pub room that you had in Homerama, we've done that on a couple floor plans now, is it's out there in the main area. It's a little off to the side, but you don't have to walk downstairs every time you want to make a drink or get a pop or something. And it's great to have right there off the main area.
That's the J.R. Ewing area. I don't know what your 821 stands for and when you were born, but J.R. Ewing from Dallas. I always would think about those guys. They would have a drink in the middle of the day, and they had like a bar in their office. And I don't know how in the world they ever function, but that's the concept. When you're right there, everything is right there. I mean, that's big time to have a bar on the first floor.
Oh yeah.
And so you walk off the great room in that house, that particular home that we built. And you walk off the great room, you walk right out of your master bedroom, and there's a bar in the back corner. It opens up to the outside. We had a big bifolding window to the outside. And I thought that was something that was bold that we did. And that Mark and I, when we were designing that plan, kind of came up with that. And I thought it was really cool. But it's also one of those things that you don't see every day. And we ran with it. So that was a lot of fun.
The house I grew up in Indian Hill actually had a similar concept.
Nice.
That was actually built in the early 90s.
Yeah.
So it was really kind of turnkey back then.
Yeah.
But there was a bar on the main floor right off our family room. Now, I was too young, so I never touched it.
Right. Until your parents put the vodka in the freezer and it froze, right?
No.
Well, we're getting ready to build a house right now that you're working on with us. So we're getting ready to put a pool table in there, and it's in the first floor, right off the entry, and is whatever that's. It's really cool. I mean, it is unbelievable how awesome this is, and makes me a little bit proud because I'm like, man, I've always wanted to do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm super excited. It's right when you walk in. The bar's right there off of it. It functions with the rest of the kitchen, the family room. So I'm so excited for everybody to see it as it moves along.
I am too. I'm excited to see it. What are some questions that people want to ask you when they're coming to sit down with you and they're saying, hey, are you or are you not our designer? Let's figure this out. What do you think that they're talking? What's going through their mind? What questions are they asking? What do they need to be asking? What do other people who are listening to this podcast right now need to be asking their designer? Because they could be anywhere in the country.
So usually experience is one of the top questions that I get. I'm kind of petite, so some people think I'm a little younger than what I am. And I had one lady look at me in a showroom once, and she was like, I don't want to work with an intern. And I looked at her and I was like, well, at the time, I was like, I have 15 years of experience, but if you want to work with someone over there who has 2 years, that's fine. Yeah. So, it ended up working out, but
that's awesome.
Experience is a good thing to ask about. And I have 18 years of experience now, so, I pretty much can catch things. I know what's going on. I know the vendors we're working with and how they operate, the builders. I know how they operate and how to communicate with everyone. So that's pretty key in the scheme of things. Another thing is, again, if you have vendors, if you know the vendors, because I think there's some designers out there that are getting started, and good for them. I hope that, they can get out there and introduce themselves and get to know people. But knowing people in the industry is key, because I would not be able to do what I do without everyone around me. Yeah. All my tradespeople, all my vendors, all my builders and contractors, I couldn't do it without them.
Yeah.
So that's a big one.
I would savor those moments where people think you're too young, because when you do stuff when you're young like that, people think it's cool. And then when you get to be my age and you're old and people look at you and they're like, no, that's not cool anymore. You're supposed to know that. Yeah.
Well, but you want people to not think you're just right out of college either.
No. I think that I hope that that's one of the reasons people come to us, is for our experience and the things that we've done and things that we know. What about budget? When people's talking to you, you got to be careful with the budget when you're talking, because it's got to be tough for them to visualize, especially when we're in the build, what that extra, because that's an additional amount above and beyond the build, and we're probably already out of budget with the build to begin with. It's gotten into you, and now they're freaking out about how do you talk about budget with these people?
So there's different kinds of budgets for different elements of the house. Obviously, you have a budget for the home itself and the structure. Then there's interior factors. Sometimes I don't know that people think that far during their build. I try to bring things like this up. You need blinds for the house. Do you need any draperies, new furniture? Because maybe you're moving into a larger home and your furniture doesn't fit from the other one. So there's things to think about. Obviously, money is not unlimited for everyone, and there's always a budget. That's a good question where people should ask about budgets. Sometimes people will know a budget ahead of time and they will have an idea of it in their head. It's good to be realistic about your budgets, and it's good to be honest about your budgets as well.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll have people tell me they only, let's just say $10,000 for the whole project. Well, I try and stay within that the best I can, but we may have to not do some things if it doesn't fit into that. But then sometimes they go, oh, well, I have an extra $5,000 here.
Right.
But we could have kind of factored that in from the beginning.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to spend all of that up front. I'm not going to spend it just because you have it, but it's good to know so that we can allocate it where it needs to go.
You can perform at the best of your ability when you have the tools to do it.
Exactly.
And money is a tool, whether we like to believe it or not. The dumbest question I'll ask all day, and I hope this is just limited to you, because people ask me this all the time. Do you have like a price per square foot that you're doing? Do you have a percentage? I mean, do you look at something and say, well, you're building a $10 million house. Your furniture should be this much?
It depends, because quality is a big factor in that. And some people want better quality than others. And right now, furniture is so, let's say, people want to buy it, and then sometimes they want to buy new in 5 years. So they don't want to invest a lot in it. But then you have others that really want that good quality. They want to have it for 10, 15 years, and they want to invest money. So I have to learn more about the client to say that. But working within those budgets can help, because if you want better quality upholstery, then we can put a little more towards that and then cut back a little bit on some of our accessories and other items within the house.
Sure. People ask me that all the time. What's your price per square foot? And I always say, well, what's a bag of groceries cost? Because you have no idea what's in the bag. Right. And I'm supposed to just guess, or how much does a car cost per pound? One of my buddies from San Antonio, Texas, Jim Bowles, told me that one, I think. And it's just tough questions to answer, but you have to have a starting point somewhere or another. Right. Do you have a limit? I mean, are you only doing new houses that are $5 million? Does somebody calls you out there and wants to look at their linoleum on their kitchen? Are you going to go do that?
Yes, I do actually. Okay. So I have different options I work with. I can bill by the hour for those smaller, consultations and little meetings like that. And then I have various flat rate fees that I do by the size of the home or square footage or based on what the project is. So, if somebody wants me to come out and give them a paint color, I can give them a paint color. Sometimes I may or may not see them again just based on what their needs are. They may call me in a year or two and say, oh, now we need carpet. Can you help us with that? Yeah. So again, it just varies, and it's kind of by the project. Yeah, definitely. Don't pay any attention to her. I don't see her. Leanne always, the whole time we're doing this, Leanne's always coming in and giving us notes and smacking me around and saying, don't do that, say this. And she's trying to give us sign language over there. But she's the number one most mentioned person on all these podcasts because we're giving her all kinds of trouble all the time. You wanted me to ask, do we need to define what interior design services are offered and included in homes? So we had made the decision a while ago, or needed to make the decision a while ago, to include you on 99.9% of all of our homes, because Robin, who has been here for 10 years, does a great job. She just does a great job. That we need. People say we love her. Mm-hmm. We need 10 more of her. Yes, and we love her. We need this, and so we came up to the point where we're like, we need some help. And it's not just help. We need you, the skilled help, and somebody who's going to fit into our team. And so when you're thinking about when other builders, other customers, whoever they are, wherever they are across the United States or in the world, is there a price point where you don't need an interior designer, or is there a price? I think we just kind of covered that probably, but where does the limit at? I mean, if you're building a production style house, you still need a designer, right? And I still work with production builders as well. I have one I work with; they're great, and they have me do all the selections with them. And then generally, the way it works with the builders is you guys would hire me to do really the construction selections for the home. That would include the lighting, the plumbing, all the interior stuff, the cabinetry, hardware, everything that goes in, paint colors. And then there's items that the builder kind of builds the house and then moves on from the build. And I may still work with the client after that. So they may hire me separately to help them with furniture, space planning, window treatments, other items like that don't phase into that new construction with the builder.
Right. We try and be a one-stop shop because we want everybody to be able to continue to work here and feel comfortable meeting here and doing things with you. And you, if we're paying you to do this stuff, it can lead in. And there's a line there where you go in this way and we go this way. But we want them to be able to tie everything in.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely. And to understand that. So that's one of the greatest things about it. It's good. I know you work with a lot of other builders, and thanks for not mentioning any of their names on here, because a lot of them are friends of mine, and we're all buddies, and you do a great job. Is that your forte, is new construction, do you think, or what's the percentage of business that you're doing new construction versus retail, I guess?
I would say it's a 50-50. I stay really busy, so I do a lot of new construction. I have remodels on my own where, people bring me in and then I bring a contractor in. And then I do a lot of decorating as well. You kind of ask the difference between interior designer and decorator. And they kind of, for me, they go hand in hand because I do both. I design the home with the builder and the architect, and then I also decorate it after they move in. So whereas a decorator would only do your furniture, accessories, things like that. So we kind of all, blend together, work together, and it's good.
Okay. Well, good. So what sets you apart from your competition?
So I would say just new, fresh ideas and bringing in things and communicating with people is always huge. I've had people where I'll meet with them and they'll say, I'll be honest, I've had 3 other designers out and they didn't listen to me, or they didn't send me what they said they were going to. So I really try to listen to the client and give them what they're asking for, or expand upon it and, obviously create new ideas for them as well.
Sure. And your business is probably tough like ours. You get so many people, especially when the market's good, then people start coming out of the woodwork and wanting to do designing. They want to be builders, and not, that just kills me. I mean, it kills everybody, but it doesn't necessarily affect me, but it affects the persona of your trade, or what you do for a living. And when you get bad builders who are out there tearing things up and not building the right way and not paying their subs and having an issue with that, well, then that trickles down to every builder that's out there, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's you have a hard time hiring people, you have a hard time keeping people because, hey, I'm not going to come work for you because I'm worried I'm not going to get paid. They're going to go back into the retail, and I think that's probably the same thing that happens with you, as you get somebody who's just retired, and then now all of a sudden they're like, well, I can pick paint colors. I'm gonna be an interior designer. Yeah. And it doesn't work that way. There's so much more involved, and I hope that people understand that. Another guy that's in our Builder 20 group, and a lot of guys in my Builder 20 group, they're awesome builders. I mean, they're just amazing guys, and they just do an incredible job, and I look up to each and every one of them. But there's also a guy up in Michigan. We're getting ready to go there and visit him, and he's just an unbelievable builder. But the way their process goes is it's architect, designer, builder, and they have to have that designer, and because they're building $8-10 million houses up there, and the designer is involved in it and takes it and runs with it. So it's a really big deal. And then I know other people who are building production style houses, and they're like, man, we keep saying production style houses like we're labeling them like it's something bad. It's not. It's a different category than what we're doing. And that's the only reason we say that. But the other thing that happens with those a lot of times is you walk in to the selection center and you're doing maybe two appointments and you're done because you're picking A, B, and C.
Right.
And that's it. And you can still have a designer. And I think that if you're a customer planning on to go that route, you should probably talk to the builder in the beginning and make sure it's okay that you bring your designer with you,
right?
And that they're going to handle those kind of things. So it's really important. Really good stuff, man. Do you have anything else to add? Because I know that I gave you a ton of questions. You probably wrote down a whole lot of things. And is there anything else you want to say?
You gave me all the questions. I have like 12 pages. But yeah. I kind of went over them quickly.
I know. I think we could probably sit here and talk all day, and I don't want to wrap it up. And you're like, man, I wish I could have said that, and I could have said this.
Well, the first thing, one of the questions you had asked was, what's the first thing you do when designing a room? And really, I think we kind of touched on this before, but the first thing is really meeting with the client, getting to know them, just having a conversation, whether it's seeing their current home or again, sitting down with their blueprints. And then from there, I'll sit down, take all of that information, think about it, process it, and kind of reach out to the different avenues that I have to get the project moving along. So that's really first steps, is really meeting the client.
Yeah.
Again, if the house isn't built, taking measurements and knowing what those measurements are. If the house is built, I'm sorry. If the house is not built, really working off those blueprints as well.
Yeah.
That's key.
That's important. It's important. And so what advice do you have to give a designer that is just getting started?
I would say talk to people. I would say really get to know your vendors, really get to know the people that you're working with, and build a trust with them. Because like I said before, you really cannot do this without a team of people around you. And I would not be able to build a house without you guys being here. So, I'm not building the house.
Shucks.
You guys are building the house, but the house wouldn't be able to be built. So you guys give everybody the ability to get it done.
Not necessarily. I mean, we're a team. We're a big team of people, and that's why people, they're always coming up to me going, "Man, I saw that house that you built," and I always say it, and they probably think I'm some kind of weirdo or something like that, but I'm like, I didn't build that house. Wieland Builders built that house, because I'm certainly not out there swinging the hammer every day, and I'm not the one doing the designing. And when I grew up in this business, I always tell everybody, I said I thought about building houses as slinging 2x4s and throwing dirt. I mean, that's what building is. And a handful of other things. A different type of language that we use and whatnot. But it's so much more that goes involved into it, and building the house is a part of it.
Yeah.
It's not all of it. It's a part of it, because there's so many other things that the customers, and we need to do with our customers, and making sure that we're doing this. Some guys think that I'm crazy for wanting to do this with customers all the time, building custom houses for customers. They'd rather go and build market houses, because they can move through it, get done with it, make decisions, and finish the house up and wrap up.
Well, and that's one key thing about having an interior designer, is sometimes you come across things during that build that you never expected, questions that you have about selections. The designer can really organize all that information, keep you on track with budgets, as much as, everybody wants to stay in budget, but sometimes you see something you love and really want it. So, and I can sometimes tell people, do you really want to spend the money on that? Is that worth it in this area, or should we put that into another area?
The only reason why I go out of budget on anything that I do which is 99% of the time, is because I suck at being realistic on what things cost. And that's me, because I mean, just like I was buying some cows this weekend, and I'm sitting there, I've got a number in my head. And when the auction starts going off, I'm like, I am so far off base here. And I don't know what I'm thinking. That happens to me a lot. I'm not saying that happens to my customers, but I always really resort back to the way I see things. And I get scheduled. So I have a couple of questions I'm going to go. We call it the lightning round, but really this is just some fun personal stuff. But somebody we didn't really touch on a whole lot in this whole conversation was your mom. And what an awesome lady. And I've known her for a ton of years, and it didn't really get close with her, and probably, I don't know if my dad ever did any jobs with her, if I ever did any jobs with her, but we always were around the Home Builders Association together. Right. And she's a lot like you, has that just great personality, friendly and easy to talk to. And so let's talk about her. Do you like her?
Oh yeah, obviously, yes.
I know you love her. Yeah. I was going to ask you, one of the questions was, who is your hero in life? And I would have guessed to say that she'd be it, right?
Well, yeah. I mean,
whoa. Is there another one?
No, we worked together for 17 years. So, I mean, we've been together a lot, and it's actually really fun. We've had a lot of good fun times together, and we laugh, and, it's different now that she's retired, because I mean, we were together every day almost during the work week, and then she's gone. And then I'm like, now, wait a minute. Now I have to do everything on my own, which is fine. But I'll call her and I'll be like, you need to do this. And she's like, I'm retired. And I'm like, I still need you to do this. I need you to find a fabric for me. Give me a couple fabric options. And sometimes she will, but she's traveling a lot and doing great. So she's really enjoying it. She plays golf a lot.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, that's an important part of the history of where you come from and the things things that you've done, whether you're proud of it or not, because I think I get some of that a lot of times. I want to stand on my own 2 feet. I don't want people to think that and if anybody thinks that this business was handed to me and my brother, they obviously don't know us, you know, and they don't know what it takes to be here, and clearly don't know my dad.
Well, and that's a challenge I've faced as well, because, you know, people don't realize that you actually do work in this industry. Just because you work with family doesn't mean that you don't have that experience. It actually gives you, I feel, a lot more knowledge because you're so hands-on with them. Yeah. And I think sometimes my sister gets annoyed because at holidays or, you know, at dinner, sometimes we're talking about work things. And my sister, she's an art teacher, so she's very creative, but she's like, I am sick of hearing about this. And I'm like, well, I need to talk about it. Right.
So. Well, like I said, I think there's a lot of pride that comes along with it. And as I get older, the more pride I have into it, as opposed to when I was younger, I didn't want people to, and now I don't really care as much as what people think. You know, I mean, if that's what you're going to think, then you don't really care about knowing us. But I didn't want to say this is my mom and dad's company or something like that. And now you realize that it's a lot to be proud of. It's a lot of pride to have family involved, but it's also a lot of history and a lot of experience that you have there. And it's really cool it's cool to see you and your mom interact with each other, and like I said, she's a cool lady. She
helped me with the Homerama house we did together. Yeah. And she did a great job. She's like, you carry all the heavy stuff. Right. And I'm like, just get one end of it, would you? Yeah. But we always say we're going to write a book, because there are so many things that we have encountered together, and we just laugh sometimes about it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really funny, but we have a book and we haven't written it yet. It's not published, but we're going to have one.
So, the reason why I was laughing before when I was looking at my phone is I sent her a message before and I said, hey, listen, I need some questions to ask Kelly. No. So I'm looking at this stuff, and she started reading them off, and I just was laughing about it, how funny it is.
No, she didn't tell me that, because I called her on the way here.
Yeah, it was yeah.
See, this is the kind of stuff she does to me.
Right. I think it's funny. So she says that you really like boating and fishing. So I should ask you, what's your biggest catch?
Probably. Well, it depends. So I've caught a really big amberjack. We catch a lot of sharks as well, just in general. So my sister's fiance is an avid fisherman, and we were just down in Florida. I just got back the other day, and we have a boat down there, and he loves to fish. So he has all the equipment, and it's really funny that she says, like, I'm a fisherman, because he baits my hook and I throw it in the water, and then I'll catch something really big and I try and reel it in, and I'm like, I can't do this. And he's like, yeah, you can. And, you know, my sister's a little bit better than I am, and she'll bait her own hook, but I won't bait the hook or take the fish off of it. But an amberjack, I did reel that in on my own. It was pretty big. And then a couple sharks as well. So,
nice.
Yeah.
I did not know that about you. This is so much fun doing this podcast, because I learn more about people, and I could do an hour and a half, 2 hours podcast with them and be like, yeah, we're going through the same old stuff. And then I ask their friends and family different questions about them, and the information that they give me on you guys is, I'm like, well, we should have started with this. Yeah. This is good. This is good stuff.
Really, I'm the bait catcher, and I have a little rod, but sometimes my rod will catch big stuff, and you know.
I have like 10 comments that I'm not going to say on that. That's funny. I was going to say that's what she said, but she thinks you're fashioning so that you can outdress anybody. Where did you get that trait from?
I think my dad.
Yeah.
So he always taught us how to dress and, you know, what to wear. And back then you always had to wear a belt and roll your sleeves a certain way. I even still roll my sleeves up, if you notice. But
I did not notice that.
Yeah. He's always had a good fashion sense. So
nice.
He always took us shopping too.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a cool trait to have in a dad.
Yeah.
So it's just you and your sister?
Yes.
And your sister's older or younger than you are?
She's 2 years younger than I am.
Okay. All right. So the dad of 2 girls.
Yes.
My cousin asked me the other day, he's got 3 boys, and he said, what's it like raising a girl? And my daughter's 9, very strong-headed, and just the funniest person I've ever met. And I said, it's almost exactly the same as raising a boy at this point, because she's tough. She's mean. She'll shake me down and keep me in check, but she's just, man, you know how it is with, well, maybe you don't, but with a little girl like that, no matter how mad you are at her, you still fall in love with her. And my son, me and him are pretty close, so I don't really get that mad at him, but I can talk to him a different way and not have to have that way. So she says that you've been around builders for a long time. Apparently you were a babysitter for another builder here
Yes.
in town.
Yes. So I actually still work with them. And
Do you really?
Yeah, I do their selections for
No
their
kidding.
homes, and they're great. I like working with them, and obviously they're a great family because I babysit their
Wow.
kids. Yeah. That was a while ago.
Yeah.
I don't want to say how long because that makes me feel old. But I've seen their kids come into the office and they're driving now and everything else. And I'm like, wow, I feel really old now.
I do the same thing. I see these kids that I was there with when they were born, and I'm like, good Lord, I can't believe how old you are. And then I'm like, I can't believe how old I am.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. So, what's your favorite song? Are you a music person?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I listen to a lot of different music.
Yeah, I do
so
too.
I don't have one favorite song necessarily. And it's a bunch of different types.
You
that
don't
I
have a
listen
theme
to.
song?
Oh, I can't talk about that.
Really?
Well, my mom and I had a theme song when we were working together. And it's Every Day I'm Hustling by Rick Ross.
Okay.
But you can only play the first part of the song because after that first verse, it gets a little sketchy.
Yeah. That's the way the song is from Cheers, that everybody knows my name. Everybody knows your name. Have you ever listened to that whole song?
Yes.
It's creepy
Yeah.
and weird.
Yeah.
It's really...
Well, and I'm Kelly, so everybody goes, Kelly, Kelly, Kelly
Yeah.
from Cheers. And I'm I don't even know what this is.
I look like
I've watched it.
I've said that to you before, and I looked for it onto my phone, and I don't know how to get my phone to plug into my board here. And I was going to be that intro music with Woody Harrelson playing Kelly, 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 Kelly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did a home around my house in 2020 and with a guy, and his daughter-in-law was the decorator designer on that house, and she did a great job, but her name was Kelly. So we'd always be walking around because the house is 5 stories tall, and I'm always looking for her all the time, and we had to travel up and down 75 feet. And I'm going, Kelly, 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 Kelly.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people do it. And they're like, have you seen that? I'm like, yeah, I saw Cheers. I just don't really remember it.
Yeah. You know what? Oddly enough, that I was working out, and I picked these shows, and the first time when I first started running on a treadmill, and I had to have something to watch, and I went back and watched all of the episodes of Friends, which was the ultimate.
I did.
And when I was in college, I lived in, we called it the beef house because all of us guys were into beef agricultural classes, and I can't remember how many of us, maybe 7 or 9 of us lived in this house. And on a Thursday night, you never seen so many roughneck, drunk, red farmers that are sitting in this room watching Friends.
That's hilarious.
And you've never seen everybody so upset for the season finale.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we would be so upset and so mad, and we'd had to wait so long. But so after that, I got done with that, and I'm like, man, I got to find something else to watch. I'm like, I'm gonna go watch Cheers. It wasn't nearly as good watching it now as it was when I was a kid. I thought it was just great. And I've met George Wendt. You know, he is Greg Jolivet here in Butler County, owns Jolly's Drive-Thru, and George is Greg's brother-in-law. So George would come and do he ran for county commissioner and state rep, and George would come do his stuff. So I got to meet him and have a beer with him in Fairfield.
Fun.
And it was really cool. But yeah, it just wasn't. It wasn't that great as what I remember. I didn't tell him that when I was sitting there drinking beer with him. This question comes from Robin. She says, where to splurge on selections and where not to? Where should you drop the dime on it?
So I always say spend a little bit more on the items that are always going to stay fixed in the house for the most part, the long-term fixtures. Those are usually your cabinets, your countertops, items that are fixed in the home. There's items you can splurge on. Obviously, the lighting is kind of the jewelry of your home. But ultimately, if we're running out of budget, that would be an area where you could cut back and then phase those items in later as well. You guys give awesome allowances here, so we don't really have an issue with that ever. But I would say just those smaller items that you can change out a light fixture easily. It's really harder to switch out your island at some point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our allowances a trick of the trade, because I think that's what our customers get the most concerned about, is when we give them an allowance on something. And if you're trying to knock the budget down, they probably feel like, and maybe this is something that people have done, is that's an easy way to make it look better. You know, I mean, hey, I dropped your price by $5,000. I took $15,000 worth of light fixtures and turned them into 10. I have no rhyme or reason to it, but I saved you 5. It's all relative. If I make your light allowance 50,000 or I make it 10,000, your price goes up and down by that much money. And so I think that allowances are sometimes tough to deal with, right?
Yes, they can be tough to deal with. Some builders like giving allowances, some dislike it. So you get that variation between Sometimes if, let's say you don't spend all the money in one area, like let's say you have $10,000 for lighting, but you only spend five.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can take that other 5,000 and put it towards something else in the house, and that kind of offsets it, where you could spend more in that area and then still not go over the total budget of the home.
Right. And I think that I like them only because only with the fact that we are giving them examples of what that allowance covers.
Right.
And so it's not just a number that I made up. And I've got a system as coming to how can on a proposal, which is before we ever do contract, before we ever do selections, I've got percentages, square footage prices, all these different things in comparisons to what we've done and how I come up with those allowances in that initial proposal. But as we go through it and we start learning about more things about the customer, I like to put the allowances in there, but I like to give them firm examples of saying, this is what it's going to cover you. Because how many people are going out and buying a whole house full of appliances every day?
Right.
How many people are going out and buying light fixtures every day? And how many people are going out and buying shingles and brick and all these things?
Well, and sometimes it's the same as furniture. So you have a budget or an allowance available, but sometimes you want to spend more than that and get something that may not be within that. But you know that you're doing that because that's what you want. And sometimes like a foyer fixture may be, beyond what you expect to spend, but you love it and really want it in that entry when you walk in the front door.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, it's where you want to put your money at and how you're going to do that. So, man, this has been cool. We've been at it for a little while here.
Yeah, my watch doesn't work, so I don't even know what time it is.
It just for looks, just tells me how many steps I got and how horrible a job I'm doing. So, man, I really appreciate everything that you do with us.
Oh, no, I appreciate it.
And I know our customers appreciate it, and Robin appreciates it. You guys are a great team to work together.
She's great.
You're part of our team. You're part of our family here at Wieland Builders. You do a great job, and I just can't sing your praises enough. But I want to make sure that everybody understands, how can they get a hold of you and what's your contact, and because apparently I don't even have that great information because I'm texting you and you're like, what are you doing? So why don't you give us some information? I
have a business line. I don't text on my business line. I'll get them, but I don't check it every day for them. So that number is 513-818-7706. And then email is always a great way as well. It's interiors821@gmail.com. My website is interiors821.com. So I kind of keep it simple. Everything's interiors821.
The number's 8, the number 2, and the number 1.
Yes.
Interiors821. Man, thank you so much. Thanks for taking time out of your day and coming over here, and thanks for all you do. Hey, everybody, this is Kelly Wynne from Interiors821 on WB Download. Man, what a great episode. That was awesome. Thank you so much for Kelly Wynne for being here and for all she does with our company, and just a great person and a great, just a hard worker, and am really proud of all the work she's done here, and glad to have her on today. So thank you to everybody who is listening to us and out there in the audience today. And as always, and man, I hope you guys are enjoying this. I'd like to get some questions. If anybody's got any opportunity to ask, or anybody that wants to be on here, anybody's got any general comments, I really open myself up to that. And our next episode, which is going to be at the end of the month here, will be again with myself talking about, we are in the next phase of construction. So we've been through the planning phase, and we've been going into, we just talked to Kelly today because that kind of wrapped up our selections and design phase. And now we're getting into permits, plot plans, site plans. We're going through foundation. We're doing a number of different things in this next episode. So it's going to be kind of fun. We've got some things lined up coming up here, coming down to the middle of the year. And we've got a couple of different guests. We're going to hopefully do something for Mother's Day. And I'm going to continue to take you on this journey through building this house and giving you my side of what it takes to get the house built and the things that you guys can expect when you're going through a custom build. So I hope you're enjoying it, and I hope it's helpful. And love to hear back from you. So, hey, so subscribe to the WE Download. You need to go to wherever you get your podcast service, on Apple or Google, or go to our website at wielandbuilders.com and get it off of there. Like it, save it, and make sure that you put the notification on there. So when it comes up and it comes on, you get a little notification on your phone that says, listen to it, to come on. And we are on the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of the month. And if you want to be part of the conversation, or you want to be a guest, you have any topics or anything you want to talk about, join us here at WBDownload at WielandBuilders.com. It's WBDownload at WIELANDBuilders.com. And if you want to see any more behind the scenes of our podcast, meet our team, look at our awesome award-winning houses that we get to build for our customers, go to our website at WielandBuilders.com. It's WIELANDBuilders.com. I'm Jeff Wieland here on the WB Download. Thank you, everybody.